Hello and welcome to Newsline. I'm Angus Ledwidge.
And I'm Lana Murphy. Coming up on the program, police clamp down on Melbourne's jaywalkers, the Abbott government prepares to hand down its first budget, and are we seeing the death of the hipster?
But first, a man has been arrested after the alleged murder of a St Albans man during a bungled robbery last week. Vatana Tunamantri is accused of stabbing Tan Nguyen to death on May 6. Prosecutors told Melbourne Magistrates Court today that the accused was trying to steal money as he was battling with drug addiction. He'll reappear in September.
Melburnian fashionistas may be in for a shock this winter as trend researchers say the hipster style is out while laid-back basics are in. This should break the heart of Melbourne's so-called bedroom philosopher, who's been having a great time mocking your urban hipster. Chris Sanderson, head of the Britain-based think tank The Future Laboratory, says men in particular are giving up on the hipster look and shifting to functionality over fashion. Australian brands such as Country Road, Jack and Witchery Man are leading the basics trend and will be expecting an influx of shoppers swapping their animal print for crisp whites very soon.
A jaywalking blitz by police has landed 613 people with fines over the weekend. Pedestrians were targeted over 3 days in the CBD, with the main offences including crossing the road against the red signal and illegally walking between tram and train stops. Officers say a large number of pedestrians on Flinders and Spencer streets were jaywalking while talking and texting on mobile phones. Each offender copped a $72 fine. With a massive amount of people shunning the red man, we hit the streets to find out why jaywalking is so common.
Sometimes it's just inconvenient to wait, I guess.
I think it's totally acceptable. I think that people should be able to have the ability to judge traffic for themselves. And I think that it's a bit of an insult when people think that we aren't capable of doing that.
But well, I did it probably because I just got off the tram and followed the crowd. So I maybe a bit of a follower.
I do it all the time.
Well, we shouldn't do it, but occasionally I do it if it's really quiet, and I know I shouldn't be doing it.
When I first came to this country 5 years ago, I didn't even know what jaywalking was. In Italy, there was no such concept. There was no such thing as being fined for jaywalking.
It's completely unnecessary considering on Burke Street Mall you can actually cross wherever you are, but if you're in 5 metres of the crosswalk, it's considered jaywalking. So it's a bit of a revenue maker, that one, I reckon.
Thanks, and now to more news with Ali McManus. And Ali, I've heard beards are still in, at least at Eurovision.
Yes, Lana, Austrian bearded drag queen Conchita Wurst won this year's song contest with her performance of Rise Like a Phoenix. Despite Eurovision's attempts to unite Europe and remain apolitical, Wurst stirred controversy, with Russia and Ukraine calling for her entry to be blocked. The openly gay winner had a message for Russia's President Vladimir Putin, saying this isn't only a win for Austria, but also a victory for love and tolerance, proclaiming we are unstoppable. In response to the country's ban on gay marriage, the Eurovision audience booed Russia and those who voted for them. There was also no escape from the ongoing troubles in Eastern Europe, with Crimeans' residents' votes counted as Ukraine's, despite declaring themselves independent from the country. Still in Eastern Europe, overnight Ukraine held a referendum to split Eastern Ukraine into 2 independent republics. Despite pro-Russian separatists claiming 90% have voted in favour of the independence, Western Europe isn't showing any support, with the European Union declaring the vote illegal. There is even news of further violence on the edge of Slavyansk, with one person reportedly killed. EU sanctions are expected to soon come into force. Now back to the studio with Angus and Lana.
Thanks, Ali. It's a country known as the fierce maverick of the United Kingdom, and now Scotland could be going it alone with a vote on independence less than 5 months away. But a decision to exclude 1 million Scottish expats living around the world from having a say in the historic referendum has some questioning their birthrights. It's a vote dividing a country.
We've waited hundreds of years for this, and I think we should go for it.
I just think it's a backward move, really.
The Scottish referendum on the 18th of September will ask the simple question: should Scotland be an independent country?
I believe passionately that it is in their interests to stay in the United Kingdom.
Scottish identity isn't foreign to Australia. Melbourne's immigration hall itself was designed by a Scot. Nearly 9% of Australians claim Scottish ancestry. This includes over 130,000 residents who were born in Scotland. Richard Ferguson is one of those expats. His parents brought him to Australia when he was 12. But when it comes to the future of his homeland, he's upset he won't have a say, as the referendum is only open to people living in Scotland.
The Deputy First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has came out and said, we want Scottish people to come home. We want Scottish people to come home and be part of this identity. But we're not going to let you shape the identity. We're not going to let you make the decision about what that identity is going to be.
Other expats would prefer to stay out of it. Alex Terrell left Scotland in the 60s, and although he visits every year, he doesn't think he should have a vote.
I think people who take part in that referendum should be prepared, should be able to stay on in Scotland and assume the responsibilities of what they voted for.
This statue of famous Scottish poet Robert Burns is a testament to the links between Australia and Scotland. But while icons like this help expats feel connected to home, the tyranny of distance means not all remain informed when making decisions about the future of Scotland.
A lot of these people have never been back in ages, or if they've been back, maybe it's been once in 20 years. They are totally out of touch.
For now, it seems, the vote will remain within the borders of Scotland. But if Hollywood has taught us anything,
What will you do without freedom?
it's that a Scot will battle to the end.
People feel their Scottish identity strongly, no matter where they are.
I do feel a bit of a tug of the heart when I'm on the train and I go up from London to Edinburgh, and then there's a moment when you just cross the border and there's a feeling home.
Angus Ledwidge, Newsline.
Great story, Angus. And now to the latest in business with Sarah Maunder. And Sarah, it's all about the budget today.
That's right, Lana. Tomorrow is the day we finally see how the federal government is going to spend Australia's money over the next year. They've made it clear that it's going to be tough, with Aussies preparing to feel the pinch. Dominating the business cycle today was the announcement of major cuts to the public sector, with at least 16,000 public service jobs facing the chop. The Abbott government says it could save nearly $500 million by closing a further 36 government agencies, on top of 40 that have already been slated for axing. The Royal Australian Mint and Defence Housing Australia could be privatised, and the government is looking to freeze the funding of over 200 spending programs. And higher education is also on the chopping block, with Federal Education Minister Christopher Pyne dreaming of a more American-styled system. He says he wants to set universities free. That means free to increase their fees. Students unfairly target the poor. It's not all doom and gloom in business though, with Australian business confidence rising in April despite negativity surrounding the budget. There is an improved outlook for the domestic economy, making up for the March slump. And that's all in business.
Thanks, Sarah. Universities across the state are vowing to become healthier places to study by going smoke-free by 2014. But while the Health Minister has applauded the move, there are doubts over whether the bans will be enforceable. Patrick Sexton has the story.
Universities across Victoria will be smoke-free zones by the end of the year, with institutions coming together to encourage staff and students to butt out. Several universities, such as Deakin, Melbourne and Swinburne, have already implemented bans, with RMIT and Monash set to follow suit on World No Tobacco Day in late May. The move has been welcomed by many in the community, including Victorian Health Minister David Davis.
We actually want to see the no smoking message very clearly articulated, and I think these universities that have taken this step deserve to be commended.
But there are doubts about just how effective the bans will be. The universities do not have the power to issue fines or other such punishments, with the scheme instead based on a peer model, where staff and students are encouraged to confront those smoking and remind them it is no longer permitted. We spoke to several students at Deakin University's Burwood campus, and they seemed confused.
It's going to be very hard to enforce because at university you can't really give out detentions and stuff.
Like, would you go up to someone and, tell them not to smoke?
No, because I'm a first year and I'm inadequate.
Say it's not being enforced well isn't really making a point. It has reduced smoking.
Michael Watson is confident the peer model will eventually change the smoking culture.
I think it'd be much easier and much more community focused if they were to establish a culture and build on that rather than attempt a top-down legislative approach.
He is not the only one. Executive Director of Quit Victoria, Fiona Sharkey, is another advocate of the peer model.
Most of the public do tend to feel that they have permission then to say to someone, look, did you know this is a smoke-free area? And what we do know about smokers is they are incredibly respectful of people around them.
And if they are not respectful enough, the government is prepared to go further.
In Any time the universities came forward and asked for additional assistance, we would certainly look at that favourably.
While the enforceability of the bans will be a challenge, Victoria's universities are determined to help make the state the healthier place to be. Patrick Sexton, Newsline.
Thanks, Pat. And now to today's movie review. Here's Tara J. D'Amici with her take on The Other Woman.
Thanks, Lana. Director Nick Cassavetes, who is behind the tear-jerking love story The Notebook, is now responsible for 2014's anti-date movie The Other Woman. Leslie Mann plays the betrayed wife alongside Cameron Diaz, the deceived mistress, and the unsuspecting other woman, Kate Upton.
What happened? We got played by the same guy.
He is awful.
I married a monster. So what do you want to do? I kind of want him to hurt. We should kick him in the balls. I really like the way your brain works, but I think we're going for something a little bit bigger. When you put the lawyer, the wife, and the boobs together, you got the perfect killing machine. I'm in. Yeah!
The comedy spin really kicks in when the three women team up to take down the serial seducer. Beware, guys, it is clear from the start of the film whose side the director is on. Apart from vengeance, The Other Woman is ultimately about the women uniting in adversity. Cassavetes shines light on girl power. Much like the film Bridesmaids, The Other Woman delivers sporadic laughs, wonky charm, and intermittent moments of genuine, depraved hilarity.
And how many stars, Tara?
I'm giving The Other Woman 3 stars.
Thanks, Tara. Well, exercising in extreme heat might not sound like such a good idea, but hot yoga is steaming up among enthusiasts who say there's no better way to get fit. Here's Ali McManus with the lowdown on the latest yoga craze known as Bikram.
Bikram is a sequence-based yoga done in 40-degree heat and 40% humidity. It can be hard to imagine just sitting and breathing in these conditions, let alone doing the 26 postures in a 90-minute class. Chiropractor Michael Horton and his wife Susan run their Bikram practice in Fitzroy. Even though the heat puts a strain on your mind and body during class, they believe Bikram gives long-lasting health benefits.
It keeps you in a routine that is ultimately healthy for your body.
The class begins with a breathing exercise and standing sequence, where the sweat begins to take over. It's important to drink around 1.5 litres of water before class to replenish the fluids you'll lose.
It challenges you, raises your metabolic rate, raises your heart rate, raises your core temperature.
To end, there's a floor sequence that helps detoxify the body and decompress the muscles.
It gave medical benefit, physical benefit, mental, emotional, spiritual benefit, and it happened quite quickly. The heat seems to accelerate the change in the body.
Iyengar yoga instructor Christine Jonas has concerns about the heat in Bikram.
Potentially be not healthy if you're really unfit, or if you're maybe only a child, or if you're older, maybe if you have a heart condition. I think it's too extreme.
Even though both Iyengar and Bikram are sequence yogas, the heat of Bikram goes against the grain of traditional Iyengar.
Doesn't seem like the right path to be going to be heating a room to that heat.
Bikram is popular all around the globe because the heat can excel changes in the body quicker than regular exercise does.
My observation is, again, it's the quick change that people feel.
Bikram here in Fitzroy is appealing and open to those of all ages. It's an individual experience designed not for you to keep up with the person next, behind or in front of you. Michael and Susan believe you must listen to your body and come into the class with no expectations. You simply get out what you'd like to put into the class.
Everybody we deal with is here because they want to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Ali McManus, RMIT.
Thanks, Ali. And now to sport with Kiara Pachenko. And Kiara, players could be finally penalised after the long-running Asada investigation.
That's right, Angus. In sport today, 57 top-line footballers could soon be issued show cause notices from the Australian Sports Anti-Doping Authority in relation to allegations of the use of banned substances. A report by Fairfax Media says Asada could issue notices to up to 40 players from the Essendon Football Club and 17 players from NRL club Cronulla Sharks. Neither Asada nor the AFL has commented on the report. Manchester City has been crowned English Premier League champions for the second time in 3 years after beating West Ham 2-0 overnight. Goals from Sammy Nasri and captain Vincent Kompany were enough to get Manuel Pellegrini's men over the line, sparking wild scenes of celebration. Australian Formula One driver Daniel Ricciardo claimed the first podium finish of his career after he finished third in the Spanish Grand Prix. Ricciardo couldn't match the pace of Lewis Hamilton, who held off Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg in just 0.6 seconds in a thrilling finale. The win is Hamilton's fourth in a row and sees him overtake Rosberg in the Drivers' Championship.
Great stuff, Kiara. And now to the weather. Today started off with morning fog, but surprisingly the sun came up for a top of 20 in both Melbourne and Geelong. Expect a cold front tonight as the state cools down to a chilly average of 9 degrees, but the warm weather will continue throughout the week. Tuesday and Wednesday, sunny and 20. Thursday, sunny, 21. Friday, possible showers and a top of 19 degrees.
And that's all we have time for. I hope you can join us again tomorrow for Newsline. For now, goodbye.